Oh, so Chris Chibnall wants to do a Zagreus, huh? Yeah, I'll play your game. Fucking hell, I did not know what I was getting myself in for when I agreed to review every part of this, did I? I liked it a lot, but this is overwhelming TV. Getting into the nitty-gritty, the components of this, it's just going to give me a headache. Not that the story itself was particularly complicated, but that the series is just holding back so much information. It does feel like at the midpoint of Doctor Who FLUX, I want something a bit concrete now. I'm off the ride, I'm dizzy, it was a lot of fun, but put me on solid ground for a moment, please. I am shooketh. Last week I predicted that Once Upon Time would be a timeless children's sequel. I was absolutely bang on the money, but I didn't know to what degree. Thankfully, we didn't have a master narrator this time. A self-insert for Chibnall to spout marketing material like,
because everything is about to change.
Jesus Christ, that got tiring. But it is, like the series 12 finale, a massive info dump. This is what the timeless children would look like if Chris Chibnall respected his audience's intelligence back in 2020. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of Jodie Whittaker monologuing, audio descriptive dialogue where she says out loud what is happening, and I thought we were coming away from that. But I don't mind it, especially in such a non-literal story that kind of needs to hold the audience's hand whenever it can. I watched this with two 60-year-olds, and they could not get past the idea that John Bishop wasn't playing his character John Bishop in this scene. So I mean, I didn't want to be rude, but maybe this episode won't land with casual audiences. Basic media literacy, please, is all I ask for. Whether he's listened to the Big Finish story as Zagreus or not, there's a lot of similarities here. An absolute surrealist nightmare, timey-wimey wormhole, where mini-stories and backstories are played by the main cast in different roles to usual. Zagreus will make you want to tear your hair out, because again, it's not a very complicated story, but there's just so much in there. And like Gary Russell, I think Chris might have bitten off more than he could chew. But I tell you what, if you're doing it for those reasons, good on ya. A Mindbender episode where everything is non-literal is refreshing, honestly, in a series that over-explains itself endlessly. But we were already in a Mindbender of a series. This is an experiment within an existing experiment. So I have no doubt that people are going to come away from this absolutely perplexed. Perplexed enough to continue? I can't speak for that. When the episode begins with new characters, new locations, and new monsters, at this point I'm starting to roll my eyes. But I shouldn't, because it's what I signed on for. Didn't the Halloween apocalypse just set up so much? Can't we get to that stuff first? I don't know Chibnall's grand plans. I'll revisit this opinion once we're all done here, and all 6 episodes are out. But it seems to be very much and then storytelling. And then there's Lupari, and then there's Sontarans. And then there's this woman, and then there's this. And then we go to this planet. Piling more and more up means there's more and more you have to pay off, Chris. And this is going to become the question every single week now, isn't it? Until year's end, just asking, can Chris pay this off? Add it to his tab. Okay, let's talk some specifics, some speed notes. Joe Martin! I'm sure everybody collectively cheered. Still not given anything to do. There's still nothing more to this incarnation of the Doctor than telling people to shut up. And violence. She's still a big mystery box and you're all kind of projecting onto her, but it's fine because we love Joe Martin. Maybe that could have been helped if they didn't have Jodie Whittaker steal her big scene. Boggling choice. The opposite of what we all wanted to see, and also needlessly complicating the flashback. Having the Doctor and Ruth swap places, it's too much. This week it was Vinder's turn to finally become a character, and that he did. Really likeable, wish we'd spent way more time here. He is absolutely the Doctor's father. More on that in the future. Let's place down real money on that, huh? I'm not kidding, anyone want to gamble real cash? Because I'm fucking game. More outlier, strange scenes, like ones that aren't even connected to the episode, but must be laying seeds for the end game, right to the very finale. The Longbarrow House, for instance.
It's false. No way.
No mention. Further cementing this entire series rests on its back half. I think it's kind of obvious this will benefit from being binge-watched. A constant barrage of surreal imagery, I love it to pieces. But it also starts making the entire series feel like an extended dream sequence. And not in a great way. You get to a certain point and you're like, fuck, go with it. And that's not exactly traditional engagement. I've liked all 3 of these episodes so far, but I'm not engaged and engrossed with the story as such, I'm more waiting it out. Scene by scene, it's doing nothing wrong. I resonate with the dialogue, I appreciate the grander mystery, I like actually exploring the Timeless Children more. And I'm growing really attached to these characters, but how many characters are there gonna be, Chris? Situating an info dump in the 3rd episode feels odd, but it needn't. You couldn't plod the Division stuff, the Roof backstory, in episode 1 or episode 2, could you? Because you'd lose casual audiences. But doing it now still comes across as if it's setting the scene by the halfway point, which isn't good. That's not a good thing to be feeling. At what point are we let in on the know? I'm starting to feel like Yaz. Being left in the absolute dark is fun, to a point. In fairness, episode 3 out of 6 is the series' midpoint this year due to the lack of episodes, but it still just doesn't feel right yet, does it? This story is only about the Doctor and Vinda. What does Dan do in it? Well, we get a couple sweet scenes where people have human interactions, really convincing ones too. But all you learn in them is that a blue CGI effect is floating around, and who's inside Passenger, which we all kind of guessed last week, right? Yaz gets it even worse. All of us hoping she was going to have some kind of storyline where she justifies having "what would the Doctor do" written on her hand. Nope, no agency here. Yet, at least. Yaz's duties lie in playing the Edge of Reality VR game and typing up the next episode. They take up a meaty amount of runtime. Seriously, if there was a story that didn't need any interconnectedness, like another layer of interconnectedness, it's this one. Because it comes down to focus. When your focus is being drawn in 5 different places, where are you meant to look? This isn't a new sci-fi idea. Traipsing around inside your own lost memories is nothing new. But isn't there something, like, forbidden, fun, about the Doctor entering a past adventure? It's not just a memory, we're on a Doctor Who story. The full-on climax of a Division adventure, and just being plonked in the middle of it is disorientating, but in the good way. The fact that all this high-concept, purposely messy storytelling is being grounded by a love story, I think is going to really pay off in the days ahead. It helped in this episode, at least. Vinda's backstory was so simple, and yet I'm sad that we're saying goodbye to him for a little bit. As apparently Vinda has not got an invitation to the Maxine Alderton episode. Sadly, I do. Once Upon Time doesn't treat its audience like an idiot, but it also doesn't seem very fussed as to who its audience is at this point, overestimating the average audience member's commitment to the events on screen week to week. By episode 3, it's jump on or jump off. But that's the thing, I felt like episode 1 was already saying that. So we're divvying up the audience even more, and catering specifically to the diehards. That shouldn't be the extent of Doctor Who's reception. It shouldn't. We're not casual fans, so I won't complain on their behalf. It was a real CGI fest. Every week I feel like saying, well, this is where the budget went then. Some of it good, some of it serviceable. And Jesus Christ, how did that get aired? It's good to see that the Terry Nation agreement is still in effect. We now know what Whittaker was doing hanging around on wires back in summer, and that's where she spent most of the episode, rather unconvincingly. Suffice to say, I absolutely adored when Mandeep Gill, John Bishop and Jodie Whittaker got different roles to play. Give the cast a bit of fun. They have like 2 settings each. It's creative, it's surreal, it's COVID safe, and in line with pandemic regulations. All very important stuff. I thought the dialogue just flourished this episode. That's been a thing recently.
Love is not a mission. Love is an emotion. Emotions are not missions.
And that's why you're dead on the floor, and I put you there. Love is the only mission. Idiot.
If you do feel overwhelmed or just unsatisfied by this week's offering, I really don't blame you. I thought it was solid TV, messy TV, but exactly my kind of messy TV. As you may be able to tell, I'm also getting rising paranoias of will this go anywhere? Flashbacks to how I felt during some of Stephen Moffat's more timey-wimey arcs. I think it's fine to feel unhappy with where we are progress-wise, because we are currently deep into Act 2. At the minute, we're as in the dark as the Doctor, but I feel as clueless as Yaz, when I want to be feeling as clued in as Carvanista. Also, really tall dog man was in this episode, so of course I'm going to give it a passing grade. I still assert that this could all make sense by the end. We are ticking the checklist, getting in everything that the series promised in the setup, just in a very roundabout, surreal, timey-wimey way. I have to believe we'll get to the Mole Man Digger. We'll get to a proper explanation of the Ravagers. But much like Stephen Moffat's arcs that told similarly time-displaced, fragmented stories, will it come together? We can't be sure. It didn't always back then. So it's a test of faith. Faith that it will get resolved. And even if it does all pull together neatly, will it feel satisfying? Storytelling this sparsed out runs the risk of not leaving their impact on the audience.
Such linear creatures.
He's right, we are linear beings. And I'm a fan of some non-linear storytelling. Just please make it feel good. When we get to that final episode, when we do start feeling in control of the plots, I hope that we feel all the highs and lows along the way.
The battle between time and space and time shall not lose.
I'm not really gaining an appreciation for going to the big temple where characters info dump exposition. It's important stuff, I'm sure, but nothing I couldn't have been told in episode 1. Hey, cut this scene out, whatever this was going on here in the North Pole, and move that big monologue about time and space, going to war against each other. All that high concept, absolute technobabble nonsense, plonk it in episode 1, when I wasn't lost. It isn't a solid, formal complaint yet, but I don't know how many more rounds of vague exposition I can take. It's time for some orientation, and for the series to cough up some answers. Anyway, next week, something completely different. Yay! Thank you for watching. Please check out my Ko-fi. I can put your name here, and there's extra added content on that site, and you can tip any amount you like.